Hello, gorgeous ladies of the Cash Program. So, this is our first module or our first piece that is dropped recorded content. And I think this is really important to have in the program because it gives you an opportunity to be with yourself, to pause when you need to pause, to write when you need to write, to go back if I've said something that you're like, that was for me. We're going to have a conversation today about the feeling of being enough. And the reason this is so important in the sales sequence is because it is our belief about ourselves that attracts people to us. That belief is so important because whatever we believe is what we show, is what people feel from us. We talked a lot about the fact that this is a emotional game, that sales are in the realm of emotions a lot more than in the realm of logic. So before we tap into how to, and before we go into the logical part, we're going to go into some feelings today. And what we're going to look at is the homework that was given yesterday. So part 1, the welcome call, there was a homework to do a very simple thing, to write what you do, what your offers are, and how people pay you. And I was very sure to say multiple times how pure and how minimalistic this needed to be. And the reason I do this is because some people follow the rules, even though they don't want to. They're like, I've got to follow the rules. And other people just cannot follow that rule. Something takes over. And this thing that takes over is the thing that takes over everywhere else in the sales process. It's this what if this information is not enough? What if I, in this little words, am not enough? And that energy is what is blocking anyone who struggled with that yesterday effortlessly pull in business. Because when your leading energy is what if I'm not good enough, what's on the other end of that vibrational string is evidence to support that belief every single time. What I basically asked you to do yesterday is to trust that you're enough in as little words as possible. That your energy, that your magnetism, that your expertise, that your vibe would shine stronger than any words you would use. And some of you trusted that. Some of you just listened to the rules because that's your jam. And some of you were incapable of doing that. So why does this happen? Why do we do this? Why do we second guess, even in the container of a program where we're here to learn, where the goal is to change a pattern, to become wildly successful beyond belief more than we've ever been? And yet the first assignment, we're like, I'm just going to do this a little different. Just in case. Just in case that if I follow the rules, it doesn't work for me. Just in case that if I do it that way, it's not enough. I'll just do it this way. It doesn't matter how successful you are. There's always a next level. Doesn't matter how successful I am, there's always a next level. And how we do one thing is how we do most things. So when we fear not being enough inside a closed container where the rules are clear, imagine on the vast platform of the internet where there are no rules, how difficult it must be to ever feel like what you wrote, what you said, what you offer is good enough. And that energy is what's pulling in or pushing away your potential clients. You have to believe that you're good enough. You have to. So here is an energy shift for you. And this is something that has helped me skyrocket my business and collapse time around my results. What I have understood is that I am good enough right now for who I am right now and for who I'm meant to serve right now. And I was good enough back then for who I was serving back then. And I will be good enough later for the people I serve later. But I'm not good enough now for the people I will serve later. And I wasn't good enough then for the people I serve now. trying to prove that we're good enough now for a different kind of audience than we're actually ready for is the biggest way we disallow sales into our world. There are people who are ready to buy from you right now. You are the perfect energetic match for them right now. You are good enough right now, exactly the way you are. Your offer is good enough now, exactly the way it is. And if you were confident about that, you would be on one end of the vibrational string that connects to that ideal buyer on the other side. But when you're here where you are, wondering what it would take to be good enough for the people that are on another vibrational string, then you're not compatible with your ideal buyer. And it always feels like there's this gap between where you want to be and where the people are. Where in fact, there are people that are aligned with you. They would just need you to claim where you are in order for that to work. You're always good enough for someone right now. And when I say someone, I mean a group of people. There is a group of ideal clients for you right in this moment. However, they're on the other side of the vibrational string where you own where you are and who you are right in this moment, without needing any more experience, without needing any more of a brand, without needing any more anything. If you were to claim who you are and lead yourself in this moment in your life, there are people who need your leadership and who are willing to pay a price for that right this second. But the doubt of you not being good enough needs to go. Can you get behind the fact that right now in this moment, you are good enough for a group of people? It may not be the group of people you've been marketing to. You may be trying to market to a different group of people you're ready for and receiving evidence that you're not ready for them, in which case you're telling yourself you're not good enough. The fact is you're right. You're not good enough for the people you're not attracting. You're good enough for the people. And when I say good enough, I mean ready, I mean aligned with, I mean on the frequency of. Let's just be clear, I'm using language not good enough because that's what we normally talk about. But you're not aligned with those people that you want to be aligned with that aren't buying. That's not your people. Does it mean you never will be? No. I remember when I first started coaching, people would tell me that $100 an hour was too much money. They would tell me that they could not afford $100 an hour. Now my private clients spend, I have to do the math, but multiple times that price. And they're happy to pay me because I'm aligned with them. I wasn't then. I wasn't who I am now. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have any of the things that I have now. So I was quote unquote not good enough. That doesn't mean anything though. And when I think of the people I'm going to coach in my lifetime, I'm not good enough now. When I think of all the things I'm going to learn, who I'm going to be, how the confidence I'm going to grow into, the results I'm going to get, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine who I'm going to become. But right now, in this moment, who I serve, there are some perfectly aligned clients for who I am right now, and we're doing tremendous work in the world. But that requires me to know that me, in my unique way, with my unique voice, exactly as I am the perfect fit for many people. As a matter of fact, here's what I believe. I believe that right in this moment, there are more people than I can comprehend talking to their spouses about buying my programs. There are more people than I can imagine talking about the AFE and trying to budget it into their financial situation, wondering if now's the right time. Right now, there are people I have never seen before contemplating reaching out about my hypermind or my one-on-one coaching, and I don't even know their name. I believe that 100%. And because I do, they often manifest out of nowhere. Boop. There they are in my inbox, wanting to buy something. I believe that there is a lot more happening under the surface in my business than there is where I can see it. Some people are ready for me now, and they will manifest today or tomorrow. Some people I'm not ready for yet. There's still something I need to learn somewhere before I'm the aligned coach for them. And that's all perfect. I'm aligned now for some. And in a few weeks, months, or years, I'll be aligned for others, but that's the flow of business anyway. So, are you the best you'll ever be right now? No. But this is the best you've ever been. There's so much more to you. There's so much more you're going to learn. There's so much more you're going to become. You're going to sharpen your skills. You're going to better your craft. You're going to better your programs. You're going to better your products. You're going to become better at your service that you provide. This is just the beginning in the big scheme of things. So if you can't embody being good enough now, you're going to chase that feeling your whole life because there will always be another level of you. There will always be a next level you that is even better than you are now, that attracts even more high-end clients than you do now, that makes even more money than you do now, that's even more confident than you are now. There will always be that next level. So we have two choices: to embody who we are now and decide that we're good enough for the people that we're on the same energetic currency as, or focus on the people that are not matched to us and focus on the gap between us and them. That's our decision. Who are we going to be in this moment? Are we going to be good enough and claim that completely, fully, or constantly look for what's missing and not what's not right? So in today's part, in today's module, in today's piece, I want you to claim that you're good enough today. I want you to claim that you're good enough just because you're here. You're good enough because of the courage it took to do the things you did in your life. You're good enough because of the people you've helped. You're good enough because you've decided to start. You're good enough because you've led yourself this far. And there are people in the world that wish they were where you're standing. That makes you good enough to lead them. When you lead yourself to wherever you lead yourself, you can be an example for people to lead themselves this far. You're good enough right now. This is the most fundamentally important part in order to start this program on the right note, because if you wonder as you read other people's posts if you're good enough, if they're better than you, if other people did it better, if they did it right, if you did it wrong, if that's how you experience this program, you're experiencing this program probably as you experience the internet every time you make a post. It's how you experience being in business. Because how we do one thing is how we do most things. So I want you to notice who you're being in this group. Inspired by other people? Mildly triggered? Wondering if you're good enough? If they're better? The world needs all of us. If there's only space for a couple of people to thrive, it wouldn't be so accessible for all of us to succeed. Every single person on this planet needs a next level. And the top of the line people, they aren't everyone's next level. Some people need to go they need so many different steps before they get to the top. They need so many different steps before they can even imagine doing the big, big, big things. You're someone's next step. Own that step, knowing that what you're actually doing is creating a business, creating a financial situation, creating a movement, creating a brand that is eventually going to be everything you've ever dreamed of and more, but it starts here. This is where you start. Even if you've made tons of money already, this is where you start. This is where you start being fully happy with who you are now, without needing to be more, because I will tell you right now, it is inevitable that you will be more. You will become more, but stop wishing for it. Be the best version you can be now, because this person you're being right now ends up being a huge part of how you get better. Everything you learn here. So if it was difficult for you to just write about yourself, if it was difficult to just write the simple things, I want you to take a minute with yourself and really look at what was the fear. What might have happened if you would have made it super simple? Are you afraid you would have been invisible? Would people have just not noticed you? Would they have not got it? Were you afraid that someone might have just seen your post and not responded to it because what you said was not enough? What was the fear? Where was the not enough? Was it in the simplicity of the words? Was it in the fact that you believe too many people do what you do and it would have gotten lost in the everybody's the same, I need to be different? What is the belief, the limiting belief that caused you to need to overspeak? I want to give you an example, and it's gonna feel like, oh yeah. Imagine you're sitting across from a man on date number 1. And as you're sitting in front of him, and you ask him, so tell me more about you, he starts to tell you everything. He starts to tell you about things that are way out of context. He starts to tell you about how tall he is, how much he weighs, his body fat, how much he earns, how much the employees at his job worship him, how indispensable he is at the workplace, what size shoes he is, and that, yes, it's all related, really, truly. And really tries to explain to you that, in fact, he's the perfect guy. What would come out to you further? Like, what would jump out to you? The fact that he's perfect because he says so? Or the energy of why did you need to tell me all of that? When you're selling, you're the person sitting across the table from a potential date trying to explain that feet are related to size. You're the person trying to explain that your salary is above average on a first date. You're the person giving so much information that the potential suitor is needing to wonder why. Why so much information? Now, when you're sitting across from a potential suitor that's just happy to be there, that's actually more interested in you, that's happy to give you some information but leaves some mystery, that has a really high vibe, that's very laid back, easygoing with everything he says. And you just want to know more. He's not weird and mysterious. He's just confident in giving just enough information. That conversation might go all night. You're excited for another date. You want to know more. And the energy pulls you in. So dating and sales are very similar. And sometimes people are coming across your Facebook Lives, they're coming across your website, they're coming across your posts for the first time. We tend to forget that who we're writing for the first time is not the person who knows everything about us that hasn't bought yet. We're writing for and speaking to the person who's listening to us for the first time. How does it feel to come across you for the first time? If this post you just posted is the first thing I ever read from you, how does that feel? If this Facebook Live is the first Facebook Live I ever listened to from you, how does that feel? If this meeting is the first meeting we've ever had, how does that feel? Does it feel like you're welcoming me with confident mystery? Or does it feel like you're trying to prove to me and sell to me that you're an irresistible offer? The biggest thing to remember is an irresistible offer feels irresistible. You cannot convince someone that it's irresistible. That's a feeling. And that feeling comes from the confidence. So, your homework today is to really get clear on whatever came up in the way that you might think was not good enough. Even if you did this exercise, but it was hard, just tap into what are you afraid is not enough? Is it you? Is it the program? Is it the offer? Is it what is it that you're afraid is not good enough? Compare it for yourself. Make yourself laugh about this. I don't want this to be heavy for you. Imagine the first date. Imagine that energy. See how much you laid out on the table there, trying to sell yourself. And what would the energy feel like if instead of trying to be good enough, you just knew you were? What if I could guarantee that even in this program, there's at least one person that's your exact ideal client, but you become invisible to them when you try to sell? Because they're not aligned to who you are when you're trying. They're aligned to who you are when you're effortless. They're aligned to who you are, not who you're trying to be. What if, with everything you try to do, you move further away from the ideal buyer? What if the only way to be on the frequency of your ideal buyer is to know that who you are right now is good enough? Then how would you have made your welcome post? How would that energy have been different? I want you to play with this energy today. Tap into that I'm good enough energy. This is so different than I'm perfect. This is so different than I've got everything together. I don't need to change a thing. I'm perfect. That's not it. You're going to get better with time. You're going to get more. You're going to be more. You're going to be all the things in your lifetime. But right now you're enough. How does that feel? And how do you post when you believe that? Share your experience in the group. Really tap into it. What comes up for you? Tomorrow, we're going to dive deep into an incredible topic. I am very excited about it. Do this piece. You'll be better prepared for the next one. I look forward to read your experiences and see what came up for you. Thank you for being here. You're awesome, and I'll see you soon.